Hi everyone, it's Wendy. I wanted to say happy Friday. It's July 5th today, and I thought I'd hop on and do a Facebook Live, primarily because I wanted to open up a really interesting conversation about the idea of selling. And I want to start this conversation off by asking a really powerful question to you. And I think this is going to be an interesting dialogue because this transpired from a conversation I had with a coach last night. And the question is, what do you sell? Like, what do you actually sell? And I break this down a little bit because I know that selling can be such a dreaded word. Selling, sales. I've heard it all. I've been in this industry a long time, and I do know how much people they just do not like this word. And so in our industry, we've actually started using different language around that, like enrollment conversations instead of sales conversations. And I want to address a couple of things why selling is a huge part of our businesses that I think a lot of people have gotten off track about how it works, especially in transformation. So sit back, grab a coffee like I have, and let's have a conversation about selling for a few minutes. This is one of these topics that is going to turn you on your head. I can tell you that right now because it was one of the conversations that I have over and over. And every time I give this little speech about preaching and speeching about sales, it really strikes a chord with people. So my first point of sales around the sales idea is it's what we've been told and sold as sales is that it used to be really easy to understand what sales was. And sales, if it was product-based, like let's say a car, it was really handy to understand what it was because they would give you those really handy-dandy little brochures that would talk about the features of the car, the advantages of the car, the benefits of the car, why this car is so great. So we really could understand what the value was when it came to why people would want to invest in this kind of car. So understanding the product offer when you're selling is really easy when it's a product. Or in a hard service, when you have hard services like plumbing or installing new pipes through a structure, we could see what we were getting. That was something that was understood as a hard service. And you can powerfully understand, okay, if I'm going to spend, $15,000 with the plumber, this is what I'm going to get. But when it comes to softer services that have emerged, such as counseling and coaching and consulting, teaching, training, expressive holistic arts, what are you actually buying with people when you work with these professions? And that becomes such an interesting conversation because a lot of people don't know what they're actually selling, and they really don't know what they're often buying. So when you learn this process of sales and you've applied the old way of looking at advantages, features, and benefits, how do you do that to soft services? Because one of the things about coaching and the healing arts and the expressive arts is we really aren't doing anything but providing a container for people to step into for the transformation they're wanting to have change that we can support them with. So what you may see is a lot of times you'll hear them talk about their process and why it can solve an issue, or you'll hear them recommend how to invest in some supplemental items to support the issue, or they may tell you how they're going to deliver the solution. But what did you actually buy? What is that you're actually getting at? And that's the hardest question our intangible soft services struggle with to answer because it is an intangible element that's being offered. And because this element is so hard to quantify exactly what that is, we're talking about knowledge, we're talking about skills, we're talking about experience, support, guidance, expertise. So how is that of value to somebody else? And that's why I'm opening up this conversation, because last night I was interviewed by another coach to help her set the foundation for a new coaching program that she wants to have. And we got into this conversation, and she brought something up that I hear all the time, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this morning, is that she realized once she began to look at the ways to market what she wanted, she wasn't exactly sure exactly what she was selling in the program. Like, you could give all the details, she kind of knew what the outcome was, but what exactly is it that she was offering? And so my interview became an interesting conversation about, well, who's it for? What is the program going to do for people? What's the experience or the outcome that you want them to have? And this is one of those things then that I keep putting back on my clients. I'm putting back into the community, putting into the market mystique, and into our bigger global transformational industry. What are you selling then? Because this is a very important question that you cannot let yourself get all squirmy about. The truth is it can actually empower your prospects if you understand exactly what you're selling. And even more so, it's so profoundly, and I mean that deeply, it's so profoundly valuable when you understand what it is that you're selling in your programs and in your work. So let's circle this conversation back around to that intangible element that I was talking about, and that I touched on. So this one thing, why is it so important to name it? And why, if you don't understand it, how it can actually do damage to your business. Okay, so this is what happens when you don't know what this one thing is. By not knowing, it'll actually trip up your marketing, as in the case with this particular coach. I could hear she deeply wanted to work with people. She had a really powerful message, but it was this thing about wasn't sure what was inside this process. What was she actually going to be giving? So it trips up the marketing message. Not knowing this one thing can undermine your service offers, not only in the structure of how you're delivering it, but also in the ability to upsell into more service offers, because where do you take people from there then? You don't understand, if you don't get what this is going on, and if not, what ends up happening is a lot of times we feel like we're like walk-in clinics. We solve a problem and then they're gone. And the truth is that's not how we want to run our businesses. I really want my clients to stick around for a handful of years with me, because the longer my relationship is with them, the more invested I am in making sure that they're getting what they need. So I don't want to run my business like a walk-in clinic. And I think not knowing this actually makes a lot of businesses have high client turnover and customer turnover. And so that's a huge piece of not knowing what this one thing is. Not knowing what this one thing is messes with your pricing of your programs, because if you don't understand what that elemental piece is, you will either be undercharging, or in some cases I've seen people overcharging for things that I think their elemental piece may be disconnected from what they think it's really has a value in. Which brings to the last thing. Not knowing this also diminishes your value. So, curious, have you guessed what this is yet? I kind of gave you a hint. It comes by very many different names in different industries. So I'm going to give you a couple of them so that I'm sure you've heard it, but didn't realize how powerfully important this piece was to your business. It comes by the names of value proposition. In corporate language, that's what I have friends who do corporate marketing, value propositions. In marketing language, I've heard it called your hottest undeniable benefit, so your hub statement. This is also sometimes been equated to your elevator pitch, but the truth is it's not. It's even deeper than that. In my business, when I'm working with people, I call it your core value offer. And that's my coaching language. And I'm going to explain what that really means, because knowing what your core value offer is in your business is super vital, because it actually sets this foundation for how you're going to develop everything else that moves on forward through it. Everything that you're going to make out of your business, all your programs, how you do your marketing, how you're going to connect with people, all the follow-up, all the engagement that you're doing, the high-touch client care, that is all essential to what this core value offer is. Because this is what people are actually buying from you, is this intangible core value offer. And the thing is that it makes it so valuable that here's the thunk on the head, literally, like if you didn't catch this, your core value offer, especially in the soft services, is tied to your personal value. And it's a funny thing. This is that funny thing, because you'll see, I've even written articles, know your worth. And the truth is, I get everybody's priceless. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about your pricelessness as far as monetary value. I'm talking about your core value offer as in the essence of who you are when you are showing up in your business and working with clients. So it is so innately a part of you that you cannot even often recognize that's what it is. But you will find that people will be drawn to you, and you're just like, wow, it's like I have this magnet. So, when people talk about client attraction, the client attraction is actually really when you understand what that core value offer is, what that essence is that you bring to the table. So the core value offer ends up being the foundation of your work. So what does that actually look like? What does that look like in your businesses? Well, what I can tell you is that it looks seamlessly like every time, if you've been in somebody's coaching program, and I'm working very hard at making sure my core value offer shows up in every part and process of my systems and working with my clients, but it'll show up with always feeling like you've just made the best choice to work with somebody. Every step of the way, they've got the forms ready, they've got the engagement, they've got the emails, you know exactly what's happening. They make you feel loved, you make you feel like you've made the best decision. And when you are sitting in it, it sounds like this with your clients. So even if you haven't quite named what that core value offer is for you yet, it sounds like this with your clients. They'll say things like, when I work with you, I feel so calm and peaceful. Okay? I feel calm and peaceful. Or I feel such clarity and resolve, like I feel normal after I have a session with you. Like you just bring things into perspective and I have clarity. Or it may sound like something like, this is one that I experience, my confidence is so high after my sessions with you. So here's the thing. Your core value offer is your ability to transmute a feeling in another person that is empowering to them to further advance their transformation with you. Okay, I'm going to say that again because I actually had to write that down so I make sure I said it right. Your core value offer is your ability to transmute a feeling in another person that is empowering them to further advance their transformation with you. So that transformation with you part, hello, that's the relationship, right? That's the relationship of continuing on with them. So this is a huge, huge, big concept and shift that I will stand on my soapbox and preach about to the day I die, because it is the piece that undermines so many people's businesses. They skip over this element. I'm sure that when I said hottest denial benefit, value propositions, core value offer, at some point, if you've done any marketing program, that's one of the things it asks you. And you sat there because of your soft service and said, I have no idea. I don't get it. I don't know what that looks like. I don't have that kind of service. I don't understand how to name it. So I wanted to bring this conversation up because it is where I'm asking you to be called out. I'm asking you to be called up, and I'm asking you to stand up for yourself in order for you to be the very best with your clients. That core value offer allows you to set the foundation for everything that you're doing in your business, how you're going to build your programs, how are you actually wanting them to feel. And it is the coolest thing, because here's the kicker that the other part of the world, I love working in this industry because we get to talk about these really cool concepts. It's an energetic exchange. Hardcore business and traditional marketing, they haven't gotten that part yet. They haven't been able to name it because it's not part of their language. It's not part of that masculine hierarchy of business model. But we get it because that energetic exchange is really why these soft services operate so differently, and they have such a hard time with traditional business and marketing models. Our core value offer is relative to how we're showing up. And because our work is so close to our soul purpose, soul work, we're being called, a lot of us are light workers, we're energy, we're very aware of how this impacts the people around us that we work with, that they don't work in that same realm. You know, we're very special in that sense. They're very disconnected from that heart source energy, and it's not to say that their head is not tied on to what that value could be. It is, but it's from a different space, and we need to stop comparing ourselves to them and how it works for them and thinking that we're doing something wrong. It's just that we need to use different language and understand how it sits in us, that our core value offer is actually within us. That disconnect is what it drives me crazy, because I don't want anybody else walking around going, I'm not worthy, I don't get it, my business should be, shut, nobody wants to work with me. It's not that. I sent an email out yesterday by saying the same thing. It's not that everybody is overwhelmed with their content, it's just that we have not really learned how to translate into a language that people that we connect with understands it. So in that process of that conversation with your sales conversation, then how is your core value offer showing up? How is it actually supporting it? Because in our world, your work is aligned with your calling. It is the highest spiritual practice packaged up in the form of business. So your ability to support the betterment of somebody through your services lets you show up in your grace and fullness and allows them to step forward. This is truly a soul evolution experience. And I know nobody's said this to you about sales conversations, but let's revisit this again from this idea, from this concept that your core value offer is the true essence of what you're bringing in, not just your knowledge, education, skills, certification, modalities, trainings, teachings, none of that. It's all of it. It's not just one thing. And it's not just how you're going to deliver the program, workshop, 8 sessions, 3 hours, VIP day. That's just the deliverable. It's not on the content knowledge, because the truth is when people are investing in your programs, really it's 10% of what they're learning. They will only be able to retain so much. The other 60 to 70% of what they're getting from you is you. Pretty straightforward. It's just you. So let me ask you again, what are you selling? It's not the old idea of yourself that you're giving something away, which can bring up a lot of mixed messages for women when you say, well, I'm selling myself. It is the essence of who you are being that they're connecting with. It is your ability to sell in a way that you allow people to feel this advancement in their possibility, in their ability to transform, in their awareness with you as you provide the service during and after and even beforehand in your discovery calls. It is that place that I want you to understand that sales conversations, especially when you start out clear in your discovery sessions, which I'll do a whole nother Facebook Live about, because that's another conversation about how to handle discovery sessions truly. But they become very personal. I have had clients prospects walk away from discovery sessions, and I knew they weren't a good fit for my business, but energetically I held the space because I could tell they needed the clarity. They needed somebody to hear them. And our discovery sessions, as our sales conversations, allows us to witness people where they're at. That is so profound, because so many times people feel really unheard. They feel very isolated. They feel like they're struggling in a pain, a pool of uck. They don't know what to do, and they have racked their brains trying to figure this out. And it is our opportunities to stand strong and support people, even if they're not a good fit for us, for our business, but we can give them the next step, the next resource, another opportunity to do something different, give them some homework and say, come back and tell me how you did with it. The discovery session and our sales conversations allow people the ability to have a mirror back to where we see them, but even better, where we can see their potential. So that is where I think our core value offer has been trampled, it has been minimized, it has been misunderstood, and it is so powerful to understand who you are when you're being that, because this has become the big message I've taken on, is who are we being when we're doing this work called transformation. I mean, there's a really bad taste online about coaching and the internet marketing industry right now. And this was another conversation we had about this whole thing with core value offer, is if we know what that core value offer is, then we can build programs that are actually helping people move through this process. But then because of the scalability of internet marketing, how are we selling? What are we actually giving up if we're not going to be doing the work with people? Can you actually create the container to hold the energetic space of working with people in an internet marketing forum for coaching programs if you're selling online? And I think you can, but you have to understand what it is that you want people to feel, not just what they're getting as far as the tools and not what you're going to have them do, but how are you going to get them to feel differently? What are you going to have them check in and experience? And at the end of the day, how are they going to be when they're done with you? And then once you're there, and you and I all know this, they're not really done. So if you know that a packaged program and your offer and your sales conversation will get them this first level, once you get to the end of that, you can gracefully and respectfully ask them, are you ready for the next step now? And because you know what your core value offers, you know how to structure programs based on now meeting people where they're at by giving them that support. First, getting them to feel empowered, getting them to understand that this is a journey. Again, there's a whole lot of conversation going on online about how coaching and internet marketing is mixing, and I'm going to start shaking this up because I think it's gone haywire. The truth is, we're in the people business. And yes, you can make money on it, but the truth is, I'm never going to do something that's going to undermine or devalue what I think true coaching and transformation offers people. So my question to you then is that in this process of your sales conversation of what are you selling, that you really see that true value of you holding the space for people, that this now becomes part of your business acumen, that you understand that what you are selling is the highest engagement of human spirit to support each other in the betterment of living a better life. That's all I had to say. Kind of profound, but I really think that we're moving in that direction. And as women who are in transformation, who want to step into leadership, we need to really challenge some of these ideas that we are powerful and empowering when we do this work. But we have to understand who we're being in that process. That our value is not outside of this experience. It is within. So I'm curious. I don't have my screen set up. I hope everybody who is online, they're liking and loving. And if not, and you're watching this later, leave me your comments about this. What do you think? Has this turned your idea about selling a little bit around? Has this conversation opened something up for you? Because I really am committed to making sure that people are really clear, especially in this industry, why we need to be doing this very, very important piece and stop sidestepping and stop stepping around the idea of selling because we think it takes away from people. Selling used to be a very sacred conversation. I will resource the books if you want that I have read about sales conversations being sacred as part of a ritualistic practice of betterment of people's lives. It has been twisted and turned into something very different, and that's fine, but the pendulum's swinging back, and we need to get back into a space of honors other people by bringing them forward with us through our help, through the investment they have with us, so we can channel that emerging transformation that they seek, that only apparently we can offer at that point, or somebody else could offer. That's what I wanted to say for a Friday. Pretty big, I'm sure, but I hope it makes sense. I hope this conversation, so I'm going to leave this with you. If you're struggling with your core value offer, you're not really quite sure, PM me, message me. I've got lots of stuff I can share with you about that. I can work with you on it. However, bring the conversation open. Let's put it here and let's talk about this. This is a really big thing for women. When we understand sales isn't about taking something away from somebody, sales is actually the opportunity for us to embrace and empower somebody around their choices. Okay? Hope everybody has a great Friday. I appreciate that you showed up. Have a great weekend. Bye.